What's up guys, it's me Strawhead Nate and I'm back this week with a new One Piece video. Today we have chapter 1135 titled Camaraderie Cups. So it was kind of surprised that this chapter dropped when it did this week because I was expecting a break week due to Christmas. Either way, I'm not mad that it came out early. This chapter doesn't have the craziest twists of all of the chapters, but there's still so much to talk about, and we get a lot of explanation for various things on Elbaf, such as the owl that's in the library. So this chapter kind of builds on Elbaf's lore, and the most exciting part of this chapter, in my opinion, is when the Holy Knights start to do stuff, and we'll get more into that later in this video. But let's start from the beginning of the chapter like always. But before we begin, make sure to like and subscribe if you like my content. The cover of this chapter gets back into the Yamato cover series, and Yamato isn't actually in the picture on this one. This cover includes Tama kicking the prison guard Hold'em to prove her own strength, so she might have been inspired by the Straw Hats to get strong in order to protect her home, Wano. And then now, to get in the actual chapter, we start out in the library. And while Bonnie and Chopper are reading a super big book, we get introduced to why these books are super big. And this is because the owl that is perched up on the branch in the library has a devil fruit that enlarges anything that's in its territory, and that's why it enlarges all the books in this library. The owl's name is Bibelo, and he has the position of head librarian, even though he can't actually speak, but he's been the head librarian for centuries according to Saul. And the devil fruit's name is the Iku Iku no Mi, and it enlarges any inanimate object, but not humans. And this explains why the giants are able to read the ancient texts that they got from Ohara. Saul also mentions that the library holds many different types of books, like medical texts and historical works, and this excites Robin and Chopper for separate reasons. And while they're in the library nerding out, Luffy is outside swinging with the kids, and Luffy is having a jolly old time going super high on this swing, but it scares all the children, so he's scolded by Nami for it. And the children of Elbaf are different than Luffy would have expected, and that's because they were raised with the values of kindness rather than values of war that the old Elbaf is known for. And Luffy is let down by their timidness because there's no excitement and peace, according to Luffy. And then, out of nowhere, Colin, the kid from the bar on the coast, smacks Luffy with a weak cardboard sword. The sword breaks on impact, but then Luffy sends an elephant gun in gear 3rd back at the kid, which is absurd because this is a literal child. He obviously misses, but he's still scolded for it once again because he's way too violent for these kids. And the Elbaf children agree that Luffy is a meanie, except for Colin. The young giant is intrigued with Luffy's strength and the fact that he's one of the 4 emperors. Unlike the other kids, Colin is seen as a delinquent because he romanticizes war like the old giants do, unlike the rest of the weak kids. And Colin's mother is Ripley, the biology teacher that we were introduced to last chapter, and Ripley enjoys the fact that her son is into cool things like war. And Colin mentions that his father is a human who used to be a pirate, and this gets the gears turning in Sanji's head because we all know what he's thinking. And they don't really explain how a human had a child with a giant, but I'm sure we'll get some explanation later on. So Colin is the first human-giant hybrid that is confirmed. Anyway, the big feast is about to happen, and Robin tells Saul that she wants to keep talking to him much more after the feast is done, and Frankie, out of nowhere, yells out that he wants to investigate the treasure tree atom, which makes up pretty much the entire island. And this has been his dream all the way back since Water 7. And he might make some upgrades to the Sunny while we are here on Elbaf with the wood from the treasure tree atom. And before all the Straw Hats that are here leave for the party, Gerd has a present for the crew. For everyone who wasn't already dressed by Rode in his mischievous toy room, Gerd made clothes for them to fit the theme of the island. And this is pretty cool, so now all of the Straw Hats are in theme. Now, my favorite part of this chapter, the Holy Knights start to do things up in King Harold's empty castle. And the castle is being guarded by 2 giants. So the woman Holy Knight, who is wrapped in bandages, asks them about the location of Loki. We learn from this that they actually care about finding Loki and not finding Luffy and the Straw Hats. And the guards don't give them any info, so she has to attack them to get it out of them. And her attack wraps bandages all around one of the giants, and then she starts to tighten them around his arms and legs, and this causes immense pain for this giant. And this is likely a devil fruit ability shown off by this Holy Knight, but the other Holy Knight that we really care more about, the Shanks lookalike, doesn't actually do anything yet. And the other giant who is guarding the castle looks super scared and intimidated by this woman's attack, so it can be inferred that he gives them the location of Loki. And now, separately, in a tonal shift, the party is happening in the middle of the village, and Luffy and Usopp are celebrating with all the giants. Some of them that we know are Dorian Bragi, Oimo and Kashi, and Haruden. Pretty much all of the giants that we know here at the party raise their cups for the Straw Hats, showing the great camaraderie among the giants of Elbaf. And then Luffy even has an encounter with another familiar face, Stanson, a callback all the way to Sabaody Archipelago, because Luffy saved Stanson from the auction house. Oda gives us a quick panel to remind us about the events of Sabaody, since I personally forgot about the existence of this giant named Stanson. And overall, it's just nothing but good vibes between the giants and the Straw Hat crew. And then, to the end of the chapter, the wise Ja Rule shows up to the party. Ja Rule is the oldest living giant on Elbaf at 408 years old, and he towers over all of the other giants like a mountain. And unlike last time we seen Ja Rule in Big Mom's flashback, he now has a big ass sword sticking through his head, which Luffy screams at. And then Ja Rule just jokes that his helmet saved him from death, but the sword is clearly penetrating his head, so he'll have to actually explain it. We'll see how his head injury is explained next chapter though, because that's where this chapter ends. It was a solid chapter for explanation and world building, but I'm kind of dissatisfied with the lack of panels with the Holy Knights. We got a whole lot of nothing from the 2 invaders of Elbaf when I really wanted to learn more about their mystery. But the chapter was still a really fun read because of all the enjoyments that the Straw Hats are having on Elbaf Island with all of their allies. Usually, the fun is at the end of the arc, but maybe Oda is putting all the fun at the beginning of Elbaf to switch our expectations up. With all of the power that Loki is said to have, this arc will definitely scale up later on. We'll still have to wait another chapter if we want to find out more about Loki or even the Holy Knights, but I'm not sure when that chapter will be released actually. I'm assuming that chapter 1136 won't come out for a while since this one got released early. So if you made it to the end of this video, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe to show your support, and I'll see you in the next one.